The first video that we're going to watch is entitled, Are Israel and the Church the Same Thing? Does God Still Have a Plan for Israel? And relevant for the Passover season is the idea that from a church mindset perspective, Israel is a different people group than we, the church, and therefore the Torah is largely for Jews only and for Israel only, so Passover being a Jewish festival, we don't have to keep those things because we're the church and they're Israel. And so there's this kind of this distance between the church and Israel in the mindset of many Christians. So we'll have this discussion based on that. By the way, many Christians are also aware of the fact that for Jews, they feel that distance also separates the Torah from Christians, and therefore Jews aren't surprised that Christians aren't keeping the Passover because they feel that the Torah is for Jews only as well. So I start there because I think if we can reckon with the identity issue and figure out who's really the church and who's really Israel, and we're not talking about replacement theology, but we're talking about how does remnant theology factor into the equation. How do Gentiles get grafted into Israel without becoming Jews, but still are allowed to be recognized as sons of Abraham, aka part of the family of Israel, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of where that discussion's going. The second video, should Christians celebrate Passover? Kind of an obvious question right in your face. And of course, I'm going to say yes, I think they should, but I can respect why people would say no and understand the pushback. We'll talk about that in that video. The third video, it's kind of a longer title, says, what does Paul mean when he says to not let anyone judge us in regard to keeping the Sabbath? And the sub-question is, how do we Messianics interpret Colossians 2:16, which is where we're pulling that language about judging and Sabbath and food days and festivals. And we'll read the passage, and you'll hear it during the video, the biblical passage. A lot of Christians feel judged by Messianic people who keep Torah and Passover and festivals and things like that. A lot of Christian Gentiles feel like they're being judged for not keeping those parts of Torah. Is that what Paul's telling us? Don't worry, you Gentile Christians. You don't have to keep those things, and don't let anyone tell you that. Otherwise, don't let anyone judge you for not keeping them. Things like that. We'll look at that verse maybe in an entirely different light tonight. The fourth video topic is, what does the Bible say about Christian liberty? It's no secret that one of the main themes of Passover is freedom. The paradigm, the picture that's painted by the Passover story is freedom from bondage. The whole story of Israel being delivered from Egypt carries that same theme, which is primary when we're talking about the salvation aspect of Yeshua being the Passover lamb who does what? Takes away the sins of those who trust in him. He sets us free. He's the chain breaker. He's the one that delivers us from our own personal Egypt and of sin and shame and bondage. So that theme is strong during Passover. And if you missed it, then you've been sleeping. So we're going to talk about that during that particular video. What does the Bible say about Christian liberty? And particular to that discussion is keeping the Torah bondage? Like many Christians might even have been taught. Therefore, Paul talks in Galatians about, don't submit to a yoke of slavery. Is Torah slavery? Is keeping the Passover slavery? I mean, going back under the law, isn't that bondage? What does the Bible say about Christian liberty? Are you free in Christ, free from the law, free from the Torah? Or what did Jesus really set you free from? Was it free from sin, or was it free from the Torah? We'll talk about that in that video. The fifth one is entitled Genesis 17:9 through 14, Romans 2:25 through 29, the power of a circumcised heart. Also of central importance during the time of year, at least around Passover time, are discussions about circumcision, because of a verse in the Bible that talks about if you're uncircumcised, then you can't keep the Passover or eat the Passover lamb or something to that effect. And so that comes up a lot during this time of year. Christians particularly have discussions about, well, I'm not circumcised, but can I keep Passover? How about Paul saying that, to the Gentiles in Corinthians that you can keep the Passover, but wait a minute, were they physically circumcised? Things like that. We'll talk about that. And then lastly, the other one, the final video is related to the fifth one, Deuteronomy 10:16, circumcise your heart, just kind of bringing it full circle, this idea of circumcision of the heart. Is it that God doesn't care about physical circumcision anymore? Maybe that really didn't matter. Maybe heart circumcision now overrides and overturns our physical circumcision. That's kind of that discussion. And so those are the topics that I hope that those of you with me in the live class can kind of get an idea. Kind of, the wheels are spinning in your head right now. Which one of those topics do I want to talk about? Which ones do I have questions about? That type of thing. Again, no liturgy for tonight, but if you do want to join us during our live Skype studies, our live internet studies, you're going to need Skype, and you're going to need the group link. So just real quick, if you ever would like to join us, or if you're live right now, if you're in America or in Korea where I'm making this recording and you want to join us live, go to my website at tatesaidtorah.com, scroll to the very bottom of the website where you can see the black section. Look for the little icon up there that looks like an envelope, the little email, the little arrow pointing that says email button. And you can send me an email and ask me to send you the Skype link, and I'll send you the Skype link, the group link, and then we can all join together that way. And then one last thing real quick, look at the little yellow donate button there. If you are being led by the Lord to bless me, financially, then this is the way that you can do so. I appreciate the blessings during this difficult time that I've been in for the last year, being unemployed because of the pandemic. I know there are lots of other people around the world who are in similar positions, but I can't speak for them. I can only speak for me. So if the Lord is laying it on your heart to help me, then that would be great. This is a place for you to do that, and I really appreciate the assistance that's been coming in, a little bit here, a little bit there, and that's just helping out. The Lord's multiplying all of those gifts that you guys are sending, so I appreciate that. Bless you for your generosity, and as I like to say, be blessed as you seek to be a blessing to others.